everybody. Welcome back to
Hi.
Hello.
We have April here today. She is my Instagram intuitive, a love of mine. We have connected over the past year or so about anything under the sun that kind of involves the woo-woo realm. And we just thought she'd be a great guest to have on. We're so stoked to have her. She is an intuitive guide. She has a lot of strengths in spiritual services with past lives and how to kind of call in your ancestors. And she's very in touch with her tarot decks. She is just a Jane of all trades. I'm happy to have her on. Me and Ken are blessed.
Yes, and I'm so excited because it's the first time. It's the first time that I've been able to just like bathe in your energy, and I'm loving it already. Like we were talking off mic up top, and I'm like, I love her. Like,
yes,
where have you been all my life?
Yes, we love April. We are April stans in this house, and we brought her on.
Guys.
Yeah, just to free flow a little about, I think, things that come to Kendall and I's mind a lot, and stuff that you sort of have a lot of knowledge in and a lot of wisdom, and I could just hear you talk forever. But I wanted to kick off on everyone's past lives and ancestors being able to aid in their support in their lives, and ways you've kind of called on your own ancestors and had that kind of aid in your business and your life and your relationships, and how we each have our own set of ancestors and spirit guides, and just a little more about how people can feel really supported in times that they, in times of high and times of low, and just kind of your whole thoughts on that.
Wow. So this is going to be a fun little paddling pool for me, because this is like everyday stuff. So I think this is a fabulous question, because there is so many questions that I feel that I get approached about, hey, April, I want to know more about my spirits and my guides and everything. And they're so shocked, when they get a session with me, how like all up in your business the spirits are. They're like, they just said what? I'm like, girl, they know everything. They give me the tea.
Oh my gosh, I want all the spirits up in my biz. I'm like, please get in my biz and tell me what is the biz, because that's what I'm here for.
They are so clever and so comical in a way where just when we think no one's watching, they are. And this is why the importance of your ancestors and tending to them and acknowledging them is really a big part of your growth, right? Because we are who we are because we stand upon the shoulders of our ancestors. So we have their DNA. We come from their bloodlines. So DNA, it has memory, okay? And so we take on a lot of their stuff. So by tending to them, the last thing they want is suffering for us. If anything, they want us to see us grow. They want to see us evolve. They want to see us suffer less than they did.
So they're always positive. It's never like a negative, like someone isn't like haunting you as an ancestor.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that. That's a very specific thing. So it depends on the way they pass. Like a lot of the times, when I communicate with the dead or your ancestors, let's say your spirits, if there's a tragedy that happened, for instance, there was a murder, there was, a suicide, a drug overdose, those are the hardest spirits that come forward, because they have to answer to it. They have to say, they know why they've passed. They're like, whoa, I got to explain myself, or, oh man. So they struggle a little bit to come forward, because there's this layer. And I know that our emotions here on earth, it's a lot different because we have our ego here. So when we cross over and we go over there on the other side, depending upon the tragedy, if it's like a premature passing, they have like a current that comes with them a little bit, because it wasn't quite their exit point upon contract. It might've been an accident, or it wasn't quite in the plan. Okay. There are some things that I do know that come up, like natural disasters. Things happen. I mean, it's hard, but they don't want us to suffer the way that we, they want us to avoid the obstacles as much as possible. So we need them to guide us, to shine the light on things for us, so we are better prepared for the future. So their input, their comedy, their funness, they're wanting to know, if they give us the tea, because they want you to understand that they're watching. Just when you think nobody's all up in your, oh my God, they are all up in your business, girl. Like they are all up in your business. So, and that's what shows up in the readings. So my point is the importance of them, the understanding who they are, connecting. And that's why that 23andMe and Ancestry.com is very important to really understand who you are and where you came from, you know? So I don't know. I mean, if anything, if there is anything negative that's connected to, like, I wouldn't quite consider it a haunting. I would quite consider it more of a healing on the other side, that they're trying to exercise the trauma of that passing. I mean, that's a pretty traumatic death. I mean, if you pass away, let's say from a drug overdose, and you didn't mean to pass, right? You just took something and it was laced with something you didn't know. You wake up, you think you're waking up, but you wake up on the other side and you're going, oh my God. So you can imagine the shock and the spirit.
Yeah.
Like, so they have a little trouble sometimes, again, coming forward. And so they hang around a little bit on earth because they're trying to help the others that were left behind that are in a state of shock. So, and so I wouldn't quite consider that a haunting, and more of a healing. Okay. The hauntings are spirits too. I know we kind of get, like, speaking of woo-woo stuff, like the hauntings, like you're like, oh, it's haunted. Well, yeah, they don't want to quite cooperate or cross over for some reason. They're attached. And attachment has a lot to do with the ego. So if you're still earthbound, you're still attached. So when people die, I typically give them between, 1 and 3 months to kind of sort through things and do a life review. So when people approach me for reading, they say, I want to read up on Grandpa Joe that passed like 3 weeks ago. I'm like, give him some time. I would wait about 3 months. I don't get this urgency, like, let's read him now, because I feel like that's not fair to the soul. The soul needs to really understand some things. And they do what they call a life review. And I believe it takes earth time. We have an earth watch over here, not their time, but earth time, about 90 days, about 3 months.
I mean, that's valid. Yeah. That's like asking me how I feel about my husband in the middle of a fight. It's like, give me some time. I don't need this to be my official reading.
Yeah, because they need the time. And plus, keep in mind, they're worried about us. So they're hanging around, making sure paperwork's getting straightened out, making sure we're not having a breakdown, making sure that we're, for example, I'll just use this as testament of my mother. My mother passed in 2019. Okay. Very suddenly. It was shocking. And I was really mad because I do this for a living. And I was thinking to myself, hey, why isn't my mom like showing herself to me? Why isn't she trying to communicate? And I was kind of getting grumpy at some point. And then I realized something. I thought, oh my God, she died very suddenly. She's not ready to talk. And she's kind of earthbound a little bit because she's making sure we're all getting our things straightened out. And so she doesn't want to bother us too much. And it took her about 9 months to maybe a year, if anything, to really come out and talk. And I thought that was very interesting. But I realized that my mother had so much trauma in her life. She had so much pent up inside of her. And I was respecting her space, her spiritual space on the other side. I said, Mom, you do your healing, all you got to do. And I won't be selfish saying, why aren't you talking to me? And she did. She finally did. So it just depends on the spirit. That's why I always like, I do this for a living, and I want to give the people what they want. If they're jamming me about a reading, let's do this. My grandpa died like 2 weeks ago. I said, hey, listen, I think you need to understand that this soul needs some time. I'm always respectful of them, and I never rush things. So, and then as soon as I explain that, some clients, they may not like that answer, but by the 3rd month, they'll return and come back to me, and then we'll do a reading, and then they're finally ready. Because I'd hate to go in a reading and they're not ready. That means that my spirits will just be kind of like the messenger. They'll kind of be the ones standing by, getting a telegram from them. It's not their presence, like where I'm channeling the spirit a little bit, So that then it's not as personal, and then you kind of feel like, well, that's what I wanted. So I don't want them to get to like rush and then try to pull on that energy. You have to be fair. So they get stronger. And when they get stronger spiritually, they're better for you anyway. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that absolutely does. And what I think is so cool that you've touched on in a reading that I've had with you before is like, I knew this in my soul and I knew this, but it's just crazy to see it actually come to life. So I feel like your personality here, Earthside, can like come out in the spirit world. And so, you know, the personality you'll describe as some of your ancestors, I'm like, that sounds like my lineage.
Yeah.
That would be true to form. And something you told me that's really stuck with me is that you like saw a full line of entrepreneurs. And that is true to like my dad owned his own business, and I have like entrepreneurial spirit. And then my brothers, we all have very much like, we want to do things our own way.
Pave your own way. Yeah.
Yes. And something that you've told me that like really sticks with me is you said, you know, do you have ancestors of Irish descent? And I was like, yes. And you said you see this man from like, you know, years and years and years ago, like tipping his hat to me, sort of like go forward in business. Like I also was an entrepreneur, and like you're backed by ages and ages of them. And I just picture that visual all the time in my head of like the tipping of the hat, like a,
oh my gosh, why does that make me want to cry?
It's so
I'm very proud of
tender.
you, Angela.
It's so tender.
It's very sweet. Yeah, it's very sweet, you know, what you're explaining, because as you're talking, the energy's lifting in the room because they're excited for you. Because you know why? It shows your bravery and your courage just as much as they were brave and courageous doing their own thing. They didn't walk a path they walked a path all their own versus people telling them, oh, it's got to be this way. It's got to be this way. No, do it your way. Yeah. Because when you're authentic and you're true to yourself, and especially honoring your ancestors, and, you know, they're going to bless you all the way, and doors will start opening up. Because anything that's forced, like I always tell clients, hey, if you need like 30 different keys to open a damn door, that's the wrong door, hon. Like you need to know that the things that are meant for you are not forced. You won't find yourself kicking in the door. You will find the doors just opening. Right? You know what I mean?
That. Me and Kendall talk about that all the time. How often it doesn't pay off when we are trying to like hold something in our fists and like we're just trying to grasp it so hard, and then it doesn't work that way. And we were really proud that this season came together super effortlessly. Like all our guests just booked and were with ease. Like, we didn't have tech issues, and everything was just moving. So it was such a flow. It wasn't hard, and it just reminded us that we were where we need to be. And that's just with this podcast.
Yeah. But and it was like even crazy because we like were recording some of our episodes and then took a break, and we were like, this isn't in flow. We have to stop. It's not in flow. Let's take a break, and we'll know when we should come back. And when we came back, everything was like butter. Like it was like back to back to back. I mean, we couldn't be more excited. We felt like the conversations flowed, like the people that we wanted to talk to were available. It was so smooth. And it was that kind of thing of like, we felt that we were trying to make something happen the first round, even though it was the same conversation. It was like something was not right about the timing, and we both felt it, you know?
Yeah. Divine timing.
It's hard
Sometimes
to wait. It's hard to wait.
It's hard. I always say, well, you know, like when I'm frustrated and I want something, I say to myself, oh my gosh, it's not on my watch. It's on God's watch, you know? You know, it's on God's watch. I mean, you know, it has to be. It's kind of like if there's too many things on the landing strip, I mean, how can you land? You know, you have to be respectful that everything has to come together in due time. And they want you to have a safe landing. So you have to respect that if there are delays, it is for your highest good and your best interest. The delays aren't there to torture you. They're there to actually prepare you so things are much smoother. I would hate for anyone to rush into something and then it blows up in your face, right? Nobody wants that. And they don't want that for you either, meaning the spirits. They don't want that. They want to make sure that everything is in alignment. And so, and like
it's so hard sometimes. I get so impatient. I'm like, I've been waiting long enough. Like, come on. If you're up in my business, you know how impatient I am.
So April, to give some context, we might cut this. We'll just decide as we get past, but just to give context to you about Kendall, she's living in Trinidad, and she is wanting to actually, you can take the floor a little bit about like the uncertainty in your life.
I think we can just like even keep this in. But yeah, so I was moved here for my husband's job, being told that we were going to be here for a year. And it's a little island in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And so I left like my job, my friends, like my whatever. And then by the time that we were slotted to leave was when COVID hit. And so everything shut down. And so we've been legitimately like trapped here for over a year. And we are in complete lockdown here. Like I can't go to the grocery store with Clint. Like your it's husband. Bad. Wow. So yeah, my husband, sorry. So anyway, and I've had some really good like time here, whatever, but it was interesting because I had talked to one of our intuitive friends, and she was saying, she was like, yeah, you were placed here to get your spiritual master's degree. This was like your husband got a job where you were going to school. And it's like so crazy because by the time that we're actually like slotted to leave now, it would have been the amount of time of like getting a master's degree. And so even when we were like going to leave after a year, so I feel that I'm constantly in this thing of like, wait, so are we going to leave? Like when can life be normal? When can this not be so hard? And I know that everyone collectively feels that, you know, with the time that we're in, but yeah, sometimes I'm just like, can I have a little bit of clarity of where my life is going for like 1 second? Like it's been too many years of me just kind of like sitting, waiting for the next chapter when I've always in my life taken it by the horns. I've been like, yeah, I know exactly, like, I'll go here, I'll do this, like I'll work for it, I'll do whatever. And so then being put for so long in this unknown, it just feels so murky. And so like, wait, why are my spirit guides? Like if these people are for my benefit, like, can you just give me like a sign here of
well,
where we're going?
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, we are the captains of our ship, you know? And I think it's interesting that you talk about uncertainty and I mean, everything's uncertain. There's nothing that is certain, but what is certain is the present moment. And that is where your main ingredient should be, like, you know, the main force should be placed in that moment, that focus, because nothing's a guarantee. I mean, we can't even guarantee tomorrow. Right. So I noticed that you said, I'm waiting for the next chapter. The chapter's happening now.
Quiet.
Yeah.
So, that's what my spirits are saying to me right now.
No, I know. That's what everyone's spirits are telling me.
What does she mean? She's waiting for the next chapter. The chapter's now, you see.
I know.
So nothing is tomorrow. I mean, nothing.
It's like, let's rest.
No, Ken's like, can you shuffle the deck and give me a new one?
Oh my God.
You're like the ace of decision is what I'm looking for here.
But isn't that how it is? Like anytime I do a reading for myself, which is rare, but when I do feel the call to read myself, I always get the slow down card or something around slowing down.
And it's always slowing down, which is what you need to hear every single time. And mine is be in the present moment every single time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And the thing is, like, I think it's more about trust. That's another thing. And that's what I meant to say when I was talking about earlier, what the main ingredient is being in the present moment, but that's the trust. You have to trust things. When we're anxiety filled, we're going too forwards. If we're like depressed, we're going backwards. Right. But when you're in the present, they always say you're at peace. So if you're at peace, stay present, but put the faith in the present and just say, you know what? When you open your heart, you open yourself up more to that faith frequency. And faith is like trusting that God has got you, that your spirits have got you. And like I said, you're talking about waiting for a chapter. I mean, the chapter's happening now. You're feeling the shift because it's an energetic shift for you, I think. And I think it's a spiritual thing for you too, because you're meant here to do some healing work or something along these lines, but for the people. I mean, big Libra energy anyway is about, finding balance within themselves and exterior factors, internal, exterior too as well. But not only are you living that, but you're also by you sharing your life with other people, you're showing them how you are managing it as well. So you can be mom, you can be boss, you can be a healer, you can be all these things, and still by you just showing the world who you are is a gift.
Oh my gosh, I told her this today. Today I told her this.
She was I know.
Something like, to me, and I was like, it's because Kendall has a block in which when she talks about herself, sorry, I'm gonna out you here, but I think
no, you're fine.
I think it's important because Kendall has a block in which she thinks when she talks about her life that it's indulgent and it's not safe and it's like it's not wise to talk about her own life and to share like specific examples. And I keep getting this ping to tell her like over and over that's I feel strongly that when she does, it will open up so much more for her and it will be so healing. And that when people listen in, it is a gift that she's giving. And she is such a healer and she is such a giver. And I know she's working on not mothering and more leading, but I think there's so much leadership that can come with like taking the wall down and letting people in. I think that is the leadership, in my opinion. And I know that's biased because that's the way I operate the world. But like, I feel it to be true. And the fact that you just said basically verbatim what I told her on a voice memo today is like indicative of that.
Well, there's healing in your story. I mean, do you know how many people want to relate versus what they're just seeing on a cookie cutter Instagram post? I mean, give me a break. You know what I want to see when I'm on Instagram? I don't mind seeing your guys' vacations. I'm like, wow, that looks like fun. I'm so happy for them. That looks awesome. But the things that really get under me and get through to me under my skin in a positive way is when I see someone share something that has been getting to them, or it's vulnerable, or it shows that their life is messy. That's something I can respect because I relate because just because what I'm posting on the Instagram doesn't mean that behind the scenes it doesn't look like a circus around here, because it typically is. That's why I always joke. It's funny. I was thinking about, like I was telling you, Angela, about the reality show, because you have no idea what it's like behind the scenes, like this craziness. It's like, I'm a mom, I'm this, I'm that. But that is something people want to see. They want to see, oh my God, look at her. She can be a hot mess and still be a boss. That's awesome. So your story is a gift. You sharing your experiences is part of the gift. You sharing your experiences is part of the healing gift for other people, because there's nothing more that people are they're salivating at the mouth for something that they can relate to. They want to relate. And that's why Instagram is a wonderful tool at the same time, because you can post your squeaky clean pictures and all that. That's fantastic. But also it's an opportunity to share, connect, and talk about life and how imperfect things are, and laugh about it, and just go, oh my God, girl, like I can't even tell you how many messages I get when I share some personal things, not super personal, but just like, hey, I'm in the middle of this, and oh my God, girl, yeah, I know, and then we get laughing in the DMs, like, because of how crazy. And your story is God works in your story. So when you share your story, you share God too.
I love that. And okay, so I have a question, and I think this is a question for both Angela and I in regards to what you're saying. So Angela and I have talked before about ancestral trauma, right? That we feel, both of us actually feel that we have been called to end a certain lineage of trauma. And we both have like said that, feel that, whatever. And what do you feel that every generation feels that, but maybe falls short or falls into their own trauma? Or do you think that there are specific people? Like, do you think every single person, like our parents were like, yeah, we're going to end this, and then didn't?
Yes. Everybody has an opportunity to change anything. Yes.
Do you feel that they are called to it, or they are given the opportunity? Or do you feel like every single person is like, I get that. I think every person is like, I don't want to become my mom, or I don't want to become my dad, or like whatever, like these things that they have a personal, whether or not they were wrong. I'm just saying, like, we have this thing of like, oh, I don't want to like be this thing that I saw. Right. But yes. Do you think that every generation is called like, hey, I need to end this block?
I do. And to answer your question, I think I know what you're asking. So in other words, you're talking about the empaths and the healers, which are mainly why they're birthed into this life. I mean, we have our people that are born, and yes, we all have, every day is a choice. We have an opportunity to choose to stop smoking, to stop drinking caffeine, or every day we make choices. But there are people that are specifically birthed and born to change or break cycles. Yes, that's the contract. That's what's in your natal charts. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But my point is, it's like, I see a lot of the empaths and the healers that are born to raise the awareness and to raise the frequency in the family and break those cycles, those patterns, and generational. Some people, I don't like the word curse because it just sounds kind of like, I'm not a fan of the word. I think it's more about breaking the cycle, or breaking the, I guess, the currents that have been in our DNA, because our body absorbs everything. So if you come from the womb of your mother, you've basically absorbed all of her trauma and her mother's mother and her mother's mother. Because you have the umbilical cord, the whole thing, you're all connected,
right?
And the DNA has a memory. So I do feel like there's a bit of discernment here, and I hopefully I'm answering your question correctly, but
I'm just absorbing it as you're saying it.
Mm-hmm. The healers will absorb just about anything. That's why you get, like me, I do a certain amount of sessions a day, and that's all I can take. And I have people going, come on, I want a 15-minute, or I want emergency. And as much as I would love to say yes, because that's my job, is to help people, I will, if I feel that energetically I just can't give no more, I will let them know, listen, it would be unfair to me and it would be unfair to you. I cannot say yes. I think it's best that we book tomorrow, or try to get you in tomorrow, because I know how much I can give. And my point is, with any other healer, like, we're all in a way kind of like healers, but I know specifically certain people have come here to do some work, and they came here with the determination to end it, to fix it, to do something. I believe that I came here for that. There's no doubt in my mind, because I'm a very lucky human being. Every time I've been reading cards since I've been 8 years old. I was hiding in a closet with candlelight, away from my family, for fear of like people making fun of me. And I am self-taught. I was reading tarot books at a very young age because I knew this, but I didn't know how I knew it. Wow. I still remember.
That blows my mind.
I still remember going, and I shared the story a lot. I still remember going to like a little fair or something with my mom. And I remember her, there were all these gypsy ladies that, they read palms and cards, and I was so young, and I walked over there. I was fascinated, and I go, Mom, I can read those. And my mom just looked at me like, yeah, honey. I'm like, okay, and I was like, no, I can read those. I know how to do it. And my mom goes, okay, you know how to read? Here we go. So she bought me a deck. And there's a little booklet in there. And then I would go to the library and look up stuff. And at the time, I mean, I'm much older than you guys. Like back then there was a library, not the Google. But I mean,
listen, Angela stands a library. She is still there every week. So
me in the library. Awesome. Yeah. I
BFFs for sure.
Yeah. I'm single-handedly trying to make the library hot again. No one wants to be on my bandwagon.
That's awesome.
I'm at the library weekly minimum. But anyways, that is wild. That is wild. That from such a young age you knew. I always am just fascinated by that, and especially if you've had no resource to like understand what that was. So it's just like when you saw it in the wild at the fair, you're like, oh, that's what it is. It clicks. Like I can do that. I can read that. And it's like your mom probably was like, she doesn't even know what those are. It's just like you didn't have access to.
She was shocked. She was like, are you serious? But my point is, we're talking about the generational patterns and how DNA has memory. I've done this before in lifetimes, and I just but when we're born, we forget everything. It's erased. So it becomes slowly kind of coming back to us as we grow and we go through things. We're like, wait a minute, I feel like I've done this before. There is no other explanation.
It's so spooky. It's so real. Like I've definitely had feelings like that, where it's like, when you're drawn to something and you like suck at it, and you're like, yeah, like this seems fun, but I suck. And then there are other things where you're like, try it for the first time. You're like, I'm sorry, why am I really good at this? I've never done this. And you feel like there's no reason I should know how to do this so well.
Yeah.
You know exactly. What I mean?
Yeah. Putting on a glove that you found that fits just right, but you're like, I haven't even put it on before. So how,
it's just a matter of kind of like I always say, your gifts you're born with, but talent is earned. So you have to like remember things. And the only way I was able to like really, I knew I had a gift, but it was only way I was really going to be able to like exercise it, like working out in the gym. It's like an old muscle that hasn't been worked, right? So I had to like apply that craft every single day. Boom, 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 just cracking at my gift. And I never thought it would take me anywhere. I feel like Forrest Gump. Like, you know, he goes, I just felt like running. You know what I mean? Like,
oh
like
my God, I love it.
I was doing. I just felt like hitting cards, and I would take my cards everywhere, and I would read for somebody, and someone said, girl, you read for me that one time at that party. She goes, I want you to come over to my house, and girl, you need to bring them cards. Like every time, bring those cards, you know, because what you said came true. And I started seeing how God would just send me people. It's no coincidence that people come to me. I always say, when someone comes to me, I feel very blessed. I feel like, okay, I have an opportunity here to serve, to help, to bring closure, to keep these people better prepared for the future. So there's no surprises. That's my job, is to kind of keep people awake, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this is what I feel like this conversation with you is like this reawakening of, I know this is so weird, but while we were talking, I was thinking about when you're saying DNA has memory and you're passing it down and whatever, and being like, wow, okay, so I got pregnant while we were in I got pregnant right before we went into lockdown. And the entire time that I was pregnant, I feel like it was like the healthiest environment, because nothing was happening. I was like, I truly felt like it was like back in the day. I was like just hiking, like cooking food from a local market. Like, this is not what my life really looks like. But because of that time, the entire time that I carried Levi, my son, it was this like idyllic situation. It was stressful, but I feel like he got the best of like eating healthy, being carried with peace. Like I was doing yoga, like just all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if that alone was the reason I got stuck here? Was this, because that would, what I did with him in the womb would write so deeply, even on his DNA, that it's like could affect the rest of his life. And it's like, oh, it was just like a year of my life. And I'm like, oh, what's the next chapter? And it being like, are you joking? you know, so I don't know. I love, you saying that. And anyway, continue.
Well, I was going to ask April, so you've helped me a lot with the unblocking of the sacral chakra and your just knowledge around that. That one's my favorite of all of them. I mean, I love them all, but specifically on the nose for our listeners, I think correct me if I'm wrong, because this is not really what I know, but it houses our sensuality, our creativity, a lot of
yes.
Pain. And so if you feel like sharing, I would love to know about how you kind of woke up to healing your chakras, and also like
I'm very interested in this.
Yes. Any tips specifically to that one, because that's just been on my mind a lot, and
I think so many women struggle with that too. So
it's true. It's true. You know, the sacral chakra is a powerhouse for women. We have the ability to create life. We carry life in our womb for 9 months. That is with all due respect, our vaginal canal is a portal for creation. So you can imagine how important that sacral chakra is, especially for women. That's where the womb is housed. That's where, and then you got to keep in mind the intestinal tract and things like that. That's where the sacral chakra is, right there. And I'm telling you, self-esteem is incredibly important for us women because we have so many pressures to be so many different things and wear all these different hats. I mean, the expectation of us is so incredibly high. It's beyond belief. You got to look good. You got to, you got to keep yourself thin. You got to, you have to have, then you got to have a baby and then get back to work again and run your business. It's like, are you kidding me? And then I got to get up every morning and do my hair and my makeup. And then where do I have time? And we lose ourselves in these everyday type of routines. Because the further away we are from ourselves, especially being a mother, I can raise my hand here. I'm a mother. I know that Angela's a mother. We're all mothers. We can get lost in that and we forget how important we are because we're so busy giving outside of ourselves that we forget about what's inside. Now, when the sacral chakra is imbalanced, we find healthy ways or unhealthy ways to cope. And where does that come from? That's where a lot of addictions are born. Food addictions, alcohol, drugs, sex, you name it. That's where addictions are birthed because we don't know how to cope. So that's why when I see people with addictions, especially when I have clients that call me, they say, oh, Grandpa Joe's got this issue, or, my sister's I'm like, sacral chakra's imbalance. How are we coping? Stress, how do you cope with all that? So I'm going to be honest with you. Like if I'm stressed out, I go for the sugars and the chocolates. Like, my son will be like half-eaten package of something. I'm like, ooh, and I'll just grab it because I'm on the go. Most mothers are on the go, 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 go. And that's my way to kind of cope. It's like a nervous eating little snack. I'm a snacker. I don't drink and I don't smoke. So where am I going to put my stress? Where do I put that energy? How do I deal? Well, that's what I do. And so I'm still working on that, trying to kind of say no to the good stuff. You know what I mean?
You're coming after us.
Yeah,
we're feeling it. We're feeling it. I feel the heat.
and the sacral chakra to cope, to deal, to not get lost in mom, I need this, or honey, I need that, and all these things, all these expectations of us as women. It is impossible to match it. We will always fall short because we are human beings. And the things that are expected of us is crazy. We got to look good. You can't have stretch mark. I mean, it's just crazy to me. And that's not normal. And one of the things that like, I feel like I want to tell women that are listening today is like, that's where we start picking ourselves apart. We might even get so much in our vanity too. That's another sacral chakra thing where we start picking on ourselves, start eating disorders. People, I see all these people doing all this plastic surgery and getting crazy. I'm like, oh my God, like, where they start looking not normal anymore. And that's a sacral chakra. That's like, I'm not enough. Fill me up, gimme. That's sacral. When sacral is not balanced, it's gimme. That's where our inner child is housed. So when our inner child is wounded and we haven't healed from trauma or abuse, we will be like, gimme. Well, what is the gimme? Well, addictions. You do one thing and then you need more. I do a little bit more, then I need a little bit more. And that's how we cope with some unhealed trauma. And so we have to be careful as we grow as people, what we are not dealing with, because what we don't deal with goes right to the sacral chakra. Affirmations in the morning are absolutely golden. You get up in the morning, you look at yourself in the mirror and you say to yourself, I am powerful. I am beautiful. I am intelligent. I love myself. And if that's hard for you to do, you got to keep doing it. Especially when you're especially standing in front of the mirror and being in a bikini, we can pick ourselves apart as women. We're like, oh, we got stretch marks, or I got this going on. And I just had a hysterectomy, you guys. So I got some puncture wounds on the side of my belly. And I know, Angela, that I was going to talk about this and share my experience too, speaking of the sacral chakra and wound healing and ancestral healing and stuff like that. Because I had fibroids in my in my uterus, and I didn't know I was having these problems because I couldn't see inside. I didn't go to the doctor. I'm busy. I'm running around. I'm a mother. And I kept getting a lot of pains in my belly. And so they thought initially that there was something coming up with the stomach, like maybe an ulcer or something. So they did an endoscope, an upper endoscope, and they checked out my throat and stuff like that. But they didn't know that these fibroids were getting so big that they were pushing and kinking inside, kinking the intestines. So everything was backing up. And the size of the fibroids were pushing and putting pressure on my bladder and you name it, everything, stomach. And so, but I didn't know this was going on. And so, long story short, when I had my surgery, I remember waking up and I was like, oh my God, now I know, physically, I knew I was heavily medicated. Okay. I was aware of that. But then energetically and spiritually, I knew I felt like a different person. And I didn't know what it was. And it took me until like 3 days when I got home and I was starting to kind of come out of everything. I was like, I just feel different. Something just feels different. And it hit me. I realized it. I said, oh my God, I healed my mother. I got rid of something that I was carrying for my mother. And I found out after my mother died that, there was a lot of things that happened to her. She was raped. She had a lot of different things going on growing up, and self-esteem issues, which is sacral chakra. I am worthy. I am worthy. Well, how do we feel worthy? What if we don't feel worthy? How do we cope with that? We start pouring ourselves into relationships that are bad for us, toxic situations, toxic friendships, thinking that it's going to change because we think this is as good as it gets. Really? Says who? Where did we get that? Okay, let's go back to the mother. So I'm not saying it's always the mother, but there could be a mother wound, or there could be a father wound.
We're very familiar with mother wounds here on the pod. Kendall and I,
okay.
Started. And I think it can be generational. I think like even when I say like, oh, ancestral trauma, I don't mean to even say like one generation. I'm saying like, I feel like the things that happened to our parents are because of like what happened to like from their parents and like their thing, and so exactly what you are saying of like, oh, even this body part, even this like functionality is like carrying this energetic wound. Yeah.
Womb to womb. I'm telling you, womb to womb, WOMB, womb to womb, and then wound to wound. Am I loving this person because it's heart to heart, or am I loving this person because it's wound to wound? How am I connecting? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Wound to wound. That's really, really big. Yeah. Because Ken and I actually talked about that, about relationships that are built solely on each other's pain, and how in the time you feel like, wow, I found my soul sister. I found my twin flame. I found somebody else in the darkness, in the trenches with me. And that can be true. However, when one of the people starts to grow and the other person is like, no, wait, we are the trauma together. That's what we are. That is where we've started waking up to being like, okay, I can have honor to this pain that we shared and this trauma experience that we have, and also feel like I want to heal outside of that, away from you, and that can be healthy for me, and I don't have to just relate to you on only, and I'm speaking general. I'm not saying a specific I'm just saying we were kind of waking up to relationships in our life.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that was like something where I told Angela, I was like, this is a new energetic boundary for me, that we cannot only connect on our wounds. Like, I used to think that was me like being like really available or helpful or whatever. And it was like, this does not allow me or you to thrive. Like, I absolutely want to meet anyone where they're at. Like, I feel that I really genuinely can do that and love them there with no judgment. And I love when someone can meet me in like the dark and the icky and like love me there. But if the way that we're connecting is only on our wounds, I can't, that's like an energetic boundary I have to set now. I don't know. So yeah, I really.
I get what you're saying completely. I mean, that brings up, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that brings up the karmic relationships. So karmic relationships are much different than soulmate relationships. And then of course you have the twin flame, but karmic relationships are births because of an unresolved lesson or trauma from other past lives. So bringing up reincarnation stuff, and we find ourselves feeling this real strong energetic pull to somebody, and we keep revisiting the same issues, but nothing is getting solved. Or one person is like, whoa, I think I'm good. I've learned my lesson, because the more I hammer away at this or this issue, it's just bringing more pain and suffering. And who wants that, right? But the other person doesn't get it. So the karmic relationships are the ones that we feel snagged on. A lot of those karmic relationships are wound to wound. Whether this be female, male, whatever the situation is, doesn't matter. I mean, it's just the lesson will always keep revisiting or keep coming up if we don't learn. And that comes up in karmic relationships where, oh, we're going to test this and we're going to see if she's really learned her lesson. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it for this person. Because if you really think about it, you guys, really all this is just almost like, look at it like a video game. Everybody has a position. All the players have a position. So they're presenting a challenge to you. So no matter where you go, you could be challenged. Sometimes it's like unforgiveness. I need to learn how to forgive. So I'm going to bump into this person. Everybody has a reason to be in your life, good or bad. Because I get clients that call me and say, April, I'm cursed. This is torture. Every job I go to, there's this problem. And I'm like, oh, really? Well, how is it a curse? That may not be so. Let's take a look. And when I see certain cards or I get a feeling of something, I'm like, no, this is something that she has to work on. It's like something that she's not resolving within herself. And it could be that she's not supposed to be working for other people. It could be because she needs to work for herself, which happened to me a lot. Like I was working under other people and I kept finding myself like people just poking at me or wanting to mess with me. And I'm like, why is this always happening to me? I'm, it must be, do I have a sign on my back? I went down those highways of thought, but really now that I'm here, I look back on it now and I said that I wasn't supposed to be there.
It was shoving you out the door to where you were supposed to be.
The negative stuff was God's way of cleaning house. However, I had to change my perspective, but at the time I couldn't see it. And that's my job for clients, is I have to get them to see something, whether they want to hear it or not. I mean, I'm here to be honest and be truthful. Otherwise, why come for a reading if you don't want to know the truth?
Honestly, that has served me up a good piece of humble pie sometimes, because I'll come to April like, oh, I just want to talk about my career. And she's like, let's talk about brother. I'm like, no!
No, she has told me that with you. April, she's been like, listen, I go because she's going to shoot me straight, whether I want to hear it or not. And she says that as a compliment, because she's like, she will tell me. Or whenever I'm like, I don't know what to do. She's like, I think you just need to talk to her. Like, she'll actually tell you,
here's the thing. Like, one of the things I feel that I appreciate in people is just shoot it to me straight. Don't sugarcoat anything.
Agreed.
And I need that, because if you're honest with me, then you respect me. And I respect each and every person that I talk to. And I always say things in a way that's full of compassion and love, because I'm getting the energy and the messages and the downloads from their spirits. Because we hold space for that half hour or hour, however long they book. I hold space for them. The spirits hold space for them, and my spirits hold space for them. So we can engage and have a little private meeting for the best of them, for their highest good.
Oh my gosh. It's like a little huddle.
It's like a little, a little powwow, like at the table, and an important chat. And it's just, it's a really quite an experience. I think each and every time I connect with somebody new, it's always an adventure. It's always really neat to see how things kind of come out in the wash. And although somebody just is so focused on love and they come to me, I want to talk about this person, or, you know, I'm like, that's great, but we'll talk about it. But the spirits are like, no, we're going to shine a light on this. We want to talk about this and this. And then it turns out at the very end of the session, they're like, oh my gosh, thank you. Because I didn't realize that, or I've forgotten about that like 10 years ago. And now that I'm thinking about it, and what's beautiful is them coming back in the DMs or the email saying, you know what, I really thought about what you said, and I'm doing the work now. I'm working on this, or I'm focusing on this. And it's those messages that make me feel good. That make me feel like, wow, they're seeing it. They were receptive to the message, because I'm not in this for myself. I'm in this to be an instrument and just try to put the information out on the table and be as authentic as I can to what spirit is saying, because they love they love you guys that much. They don't want to see
and
you
I
suffer.
really
They
feel
don't.
that from you.
Yes, I really do. We are winding down here a little bit, but April,
Sure.
I did want to ask you, because you've really helped me a lot with protection of the house. Yeah. And you're very big on like protecting your energy, and but specifically your home and the space that you like hold dear and feel safe. And I know you just moved, so this is probably top of mind. But so talk me through like what you do as a protection for yourself and the space that you hold dear. Because I know
I love this practical.
Yeah, I know there's sage involved, but it's more than that. And like, I love the way you set up a whole thing for your spirits. Oh, Ken, I forgot to tell you, and also the listeners, like I really, really love that the way that April honors the spirit guides that help her channel messages, because she always has like an altar for them with like cigars and like fun stuff. Like she's always offering stuff up, and she's got like a whole little like a sweet little spiritual party going on over there, and she'll like film and you just see how much love and honor she has for those that help her. And she's really
I come from a line of alcoholics and drunks, so they like their booze, you know what I mean?
So she'll have like liquor out for them and all that. And so you did wonders on. I didn't feel unsafe in my home. I feel good vibes here, but I just think if it could help somebody else feel like they can get more in touch with themselves if their space feels safe. If you have any
oh my gosh, please tell me, because I've been getting like really weird, like people keep telling me about like break-ins and like really traumatic things lately, like all around me. And I'm like, I felt really good in my home. And I'm like, is there some bad energy going on? Like, is this warning me for something? So please tell me what I'm supposed to do for my home.
You know what? I mean, sealing the space and just energetically cleansing the space is a must. It's like no different than we have to be, hygienic. We have to have good hygiene as people, our bodies. We have to take a shower. Well, same with energy. And we spend a lot of time in our home. We make love, we eat in our home, we fight in our home. We, like everything is done in the home. So the home is a very important space. So why not cleanse it once a week? I cleanse mine every day. So if you do, one of the things that I think is important is, you want to open the windows and the doors before you get started. But, I like to get sage. Sometimes blue sage is good. White sage is good, but blue sage is more for like negative entities. Like sometimes they use those in exorcisms and stuff. And that's a whole nother chit chat over there. But I'm just saying, I typically do blue sage, but you can do white sage. It's good too for purification. But I like to use blue sage because I deal with spirits all the time. So sometimes it's just me. If I'm going to do anything, I'm going to bring in the big guns. I don't mess around. So I start at the front door with my blue sage, and or if people are listening, you can do white sage if you want. It's up to you. Some people use mugwort and stuff, but I like mugwort, but it's kind of like the smell is not my favorite.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. You can
it's in my toner, but
and you're saying like no Palo Santo, like we need something heavier than that.
I haven't finished it. I'll explain to you. So I always start at the front door and then I go counterclockwise in and out of the rooms. Okay. And that's with the sage. And I get my little shell and I walk around, and that thing smokes a lot. So you want to keep the windows open. You don't want to keep the windows closed or the doors closed. You want to let the spirits out. It's pushing everything negative out. So I go in and out of the rooms. And what I do is anything less than light is no longer welcome here. So you just go in and out of the rooms and you're asking, you know, whoever you want to call upon, Archangel Michael, I like him. He's one of my personal favorites, to energetically do a God sweep in the house to clear and cleanse and remove any spirits, anything less than light. They're not welcome here. This is my space. So you're claiming your turf and you're going in and out of the rooms. You end up back at the front door. Snuff that out in your shell and then light your Palo Santo. Now, Palo Santo, you got to keep lighting it. So keep that in mind. When you start at the front door with your Palo Santo, then you go clockwise in and out of the rooms. And this is more of, I'm bringing in the harmony, the love, the peace, the abundance flow into this house. And then you go in and out of the rooms, end up at the front door. Okay. And that's your prayer work. I hope that's clear. And then, having an altar for your spirits it's important. It's kind of like the heartbeat of the house. So you can make it look like something that's a part of the house. That's the beautiful part about it. You can just get a couple pictures of grandma or great grandmother, put it in a frame. Glass of water. Water holds energy. So if you see these glasses, I get the bourbon glasses where the glasses come up. If you see bubbles at the top of the glass after you put the glass there, that's an indication that spirit's in the house. It's raising the frequency in the house. Bubbles, like I have Sparkletts waters, and I'm telling you, every time the Sparkletts drop off the waters in the house, the bubbles just go in the house, because I work with spirits every day. So I always crack up when my son goes, Mom, look at the bubbles.
Like, I'm here.
Yeah, because if you notice in people that do sound bowl healings, you notice how they put water in the bowl and it go pop, 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 pop. And you'll see that because it's raising the frequency. Sound raises the frequency, so does spirit. So if you put a glass of water's purification. It has a lot of energy. It's powerful. So if you put up a glass of water there and light a candle, put some pictures of your ancestors that have passed, a vase of flowers every 2 to 3 days. Now, my spirits, like I said, I come from a long line of drunks. They love their liquor and their booze, and they love their smoke. I leave cigarette smokes outside the front door. I light one and leave it lit, and the whole ash will go down all the way to the nub because they're smoking it, and there's no explanation for it. Who's out there smoking? I don't smoke.
Yeah, it would just go. It wouldn't smoke. You know what I mean? Like it would just go out. It would go out, not like smoke down.
And I do that outside my front door every morning. And then I have my cigar smoke.
Oh my gosh, I hope someone takes care of me like this when I die.
Of course they will. But if you teach your children how to, like I teach my son, I tell him all the time, I said, I don't want to be standing around waiting for my goodies. I said, you got to hook me up when I'm dead,
Put the sugar out. Okay, come on.
Yeah, you're like, put the peachos out there, girl.
Yeah. And give them what they like. You can leave say, like my grandmother, she loved pie. So I leave, like, if I buy sweets at the store, I'll cut her a slice of pie, and you can leave it there for a few hours and you can eat it, but it's just the intention of it. Yeah. Saying hello. For example, my son likes to get these croissants at this little donut shop. So I went there to go pick up his croissants. I looked down in the right-hand corner, and, nice Asian family that runs that business, sweet, amazing people. And they're very strong in their belief system too, due to culture, that they leave offerings out. They have their incense burning, and you could see that they leave little donut holes and stuff out there for them with coffee every morning.
That's so sweet.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
And their business is packed, because if you do that, they have for your spirits, they bless you tenfold with abundance and peace in your life, because they don't want you to suffer. And so that's just an example of people of this. They're like a mom and pop, and every morning you see their little on a plate right there in the right-hand corner on the floor with their incense burning kind of off to the side. And I noticed it because I notice those things anyway, because it's what I do for a living. And when I see them, I wave. I say hello to their spirit. I just
my gosh. I would definitely want coffee. Levi, if you're hearing this later on in life and you're like, when mom dies, definitely leave coffee out for me.
Oh, for sure. Cut to me going to Kroger and buying pie, and Nick's like, "What's the pie for?" I'm like, "It's for my ancestors. Don't worry
about it." Also, cut to everyone who is like going like counterclockwise and clockwise in their house, like cleansing the energy with all of their windows open and being like, "Nicker."
And you know, another good tip, and I could keep going, you guys, on and on. Camphor. If you put a glass of camphor, is like this kind of it smells pretty strong. Negative spirits don't like camphor. And if you put camphor in a glass of water with 3 drops of holy water or some blessed water from the church or full moon water, I mean, people have different ways of doing things. It's kind of, I see people with structure with those types of things. I think there is no right or wrong way. It's just how it flows through you. But camphor, if you leave it like my son was having nightmares, and at one point way back in the day, and I put a piece of camphor in a glass and I put it in the corner of the room with 3 drops of holy water, and I put it there, and the nightmares just stopped. Because camphor, it's an old witchy tip, but again, everybody has their modality and their way. I mean, like people always ask me, how should I do this? And I think it's kind of what you make of it, but intention is everything. Otherwise it won't work. I think intention is magic. People say, oh, it's magic work. No, it's intention.
I believe it.
Okay, so I have one more question. I know Angela's probably like trying to cut us off because she's a responsible podcast host.
No, I know she has to go, so I'm just like, I know she has a client, but we are.
I can always call you back when I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can wrap up then. I truly had one question about moon water.
Moon water, yes.
Okay. If you put moon water out and then drink it, do you feel that it has any actual qualities? And then we can wrap up.
Yes. I feel that psychically, energetically, moon charged water is really good. I've seen, for instance, I have a healer that I go visit once in a blue moon, over in the valley, and she drinks her moon water, and she's a very psychic woman, and she does it for her own personal reasons. I do it sometimes, but I more than likely bathe in it. But I mean, okay. it's electronically charged, so it kind of like vibrates your cells. So it's really powerful. I wish I was more active doing it, but I bathe in it more than I drink it. But it's she has it in, like, literally she gets like reverse osmosis water, and then she puts it outside and charges it all night. Right. Wow. Under the moonlight.
Yeah. And so for people who don't know what moon water is, moon water, like when we're talking about that, it's just taking water and letting it charge under a full moon. So anyways, I was just very curious about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, new moon, but wait, it's full moon and new moon, right?
Yeah. So full moon's great for releasing and letting things go energetically, but the new moon is good if like you really want something like a new job, a new love in your life. You want to like work on your healing and all of that. And you want to start anew. The new moon is great for. I label mine, and I just like I can drink it or bathe in it. Yeah.
Catch me out here, new moon bathing. I love it.
Yes. Me too.
Okay. Well, I know you have a client, so thank you for squeezing us in. And I know Angela has been blessed over and over by your energy. I love, first of all, I think this speaks so much to Angela too, of her energy that she just constantly even brings like really beautiful people to me. I feel like energy is like energy. And so I love Angela and everything that we've been doing on this podcast, and the fact that she introduced me to you, it just feels like a really big blessing. So
thank you. I feel the same way. I'm very excited. I mean, I would love to, come back again and chat with you. I mean, there's so much knowledge in me. I mean, any chance I get to pour it out of me, I'm there. Any chance I can get to help someone or give them an opportunity to change something for the better for themselves, I'm there 110%. So I'm full of knowledge. So ask me as many questions as you want. I will always have an answer for it. So
It's true. She does. And so we will link April's, her Instagram and about her services in our show notes, but her name on Instagram is, and you say it Astra Astoundance?
Yeah, Astra, it's my spirits. They gave me the name. I can't even argue with those people, those souls over there. There's no.
She's like, I tried to change it. Yeah, and they weren't having it.
It's Astre. I call it Astre. So Astre, Astoundance, Astoundance. My spirits gave me that name. And again, I can't even argue with them. So they're the reason why I'm busy.
What they said.
They said they're like, it's done. It's done. So at Astre Astoundance. And you could find me on my website too at astreastoundance.net. And check out my services, and you can always email me or DM me, and I'm always interested in answering questions. I get a little busy, but I will get back to you.
She's popping on the Instagram. She will get back to you, if not, when she can. And also we have a little special announcement.
Little surprise.
Yes, a surprise. So if you are interested in booking a spiritual service from April, a 30-minute or a 60-minute session, you will get a little discount if you use code WooWoo the first 10 people that decide to book with her. So if you need more details on that, get to us, but that is just something that she is blessing the listeners with.
Yes.
Give a little coin and get a reading from my girl. Hit her up. She's happy to do it and get you in the schedule. And we're so happy to have her on. Thank you, April. We've been having this in the books for a while. I've been dreaming about talking to April on my for a while, and I'm just glad that it's in existence now. And we hope you guys enjoyed today and just bathing in a spiritual bath with us.
Yes.
See you next week. Thank you so much.
Okay. Blessings. Thank you. All right, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, loves. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. I hope you had fun today. Thank you so much for listening. We're manifesting that this becomes something. So if you enjoyed this, help a sister out and give us a rating or tell your best friend so we can connect to more people like you. Talk to us anytime. Easiest to reach us is on our Instagram. Kindle is at Kindle Hannah with no H at the end. And I am at Angela_party.
Also, we wanted to give a quick shout out to Nicole Spolerich, our magical audio editor, and Scott Hoying from Pentatonics for the sparkly intro. You two make us sound like we're not just two girls sitting on the living room floor with a mic, so we love you for it. Anyway, we love all of you guys. See you next Wednesday, and stay woo-woo.